Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you my thoughts and opinions on the Office BFFs by Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey. And I will say I apologize for the lighting of this. This book is so bright that it kind of throws off my camera a little bit, so we're just gonna have to deal with that today. But this was one of my most anticipated releases for like the first half of 2020, and when they announced that they would be having a book kind of version of, you know, their experience being on The Office, I really was excited for it. I'm a big Office fan, so I was very much looking forward to this, and I'm a huge fan of their podcast as well. Yeah, so overall my rating of this was 5 stars, and I think the format of this I will go into is it's very conversational. So you get something that Angela says about her memory, and then Jenna gives her perspective on the same thing, so it's very much kind of conversational. So I actually was able to get the audiobook from my library, and I think that is the kind of way I think it is like the best way to consume this book, because they are reading it themselves and it's more conversational. Like, it's a good one. It's kind of like a podcast where they're just kind of talking back and forth. So I would recommend the audiobook for this, and then if you want to look at like the pictures, there's a ton of like pictures in here. I would recommend like all that stuff. So, you know, if you have the book, I would recommend if you could get the audiobook from the library, or even just buy it. And then the audiobook too has more kind of components to it. You get like a song that Creed wrote for this. Another like few other cast members will make an appearance too, in terms of recounting replaying different conversations they had, or you know, they also interviewed Jennifer Gardner as well. So it was just like, I feel like you get more from the audiobook in terms of like different people that are also kind of a part of this as well. So I think it is very much kind of a nice little treat, which I enjoy. And you do get a foreword from Brian Wilson, which was very funny as well. So yeah, like I said, if you can get the audiobook, I would recommend it, but this book is still good. There's a lot of great pictures, behind the scenes pictures and everything like that. So it kind of feels like The Office is something that feels like warm and cozy and like home. So if you want that feeling and you can like look at these pictures, you can be like, okay, it feels like home. So this book is broken down into a couple chapters. They each talk about how they eventually got the job for The Office, their experience of being on this show, how it kind of came from being feared that they were going to be canceled to becoming very popular, and its kind of resurgence after the show has aired through streaming services. And then they also go into different things here. They talk about the men and women who worked on The Office, kind of their experience being pregnant and also fake pregnant within the show, a funny disaster story about their little bus that they went on in season 9, like the bus episode, and just like the finale and everything like that. So I think this is very much, and also their experience and like why they ended up going into a podcast, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah, so this is like, there is some kind of overlap in terms of what they talk about in their podcast in here, so just be forewarned that there was a little bit of overlay, but I didn't necessarily mind because they were able to expand on it. They talk more about, you know, different people that I like, more people behind the scenes, which I was interested learning about, and just kind of like juggling this show that ended up becoming wildly popular than what they were anticipating. And you can like tell, I think there's something special about this show in particular that they even talked about in here, that no one believes that they all like each other, like the cast like each other, likes each other. And it was interesting kind of seeing that, and you can like see even now where the show ended several years ago, that they still like do things with each other, which I think is really fun. There was a chapter in here, I did like the chapter that focused on maternity, because it talked about how they were kind of at different points in their lives and their friendship, and how that was very kind of difficult, and like put a little bit of strain on the relationship, where one of them is a new mother and the other one is still in like the young phase pre-children. So it was interesting to see how they've kind of had their ups and downs with like that, like different life milestones and all that, and just kind of I was like pretty shocked about the maternity leave that they give actors on TV series. Like I always assumed that it would be you know, pretty, because it's Hollywood. I feel like in California, like I feel like they're very much progressive, but like they only get 8 weeks unpaid leave, which I think is crazy. And like for them though, they make more per episode than what most people make in a year, so it's like hard to sympathize with, like, okay, you're missing out on like $100,000, I understand, but you still make way more than the average person. But I think that is something that shocked me, especially coming from Canada with, you know, pretty decent you know, maternity paternity leave compared to the US. It is still pretty shocking that it is still like that way. And I think like it's interesting too, having like, especially with the audiobook, you can kind of hear the emotion of them recounting some of these, you know, memories that mean a lot to them, or these people that played such a pivotal role in their life for so long. I think it's really, you get a lot more of the emotion out of the audiobook, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, it's just interesting because for me, like, I've never, aside from my siblings, I've never had a friendship like this. So it's very like fun to see like these people that have been together for so many years that are just like best friends, like they just get along, and just all that stuff, like seeing like again with the ups and downs of their relationship, I thought was very interesting and very honest and candid. And then kind of talking about going into the podcast realm, and I thought it was really interesting how they were very much afraid of being, you know, kind of in charge of themselves and being seen as too, you know, demanding or annoying when they're trying to just be assertive and, you know, run their own careers. And they're just a fear of like the kind of misconception of women who want to be, you know, in charge, and like the ambitious women that kind of get, you know, kind of are like, oh, they're too bossy and like all that stuff, and trying to balance that and just kind of embracing that and be like, I want to be in charge of, you know, my work schedule. I want to be able to have a good work-life balance, to be there for my kids' milestones. So I thought it was I wasn't really expecting that in here. So it was very interesting seeing them kind of like tackle all these like patriarchal like problems that are still relevant today, and just how they, you know, struggled with that throughout their career. Now they're at their point where like, you know what, I want to do what I want to do, and I'm gonna be assertive. I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna say what I want and do what I want, and, you know, finally kind of embrace something that men have no problem doing. They're being like, oh, they're confident, like that is so good. And then for women it's like, oh, she's very bossy and demanding and needy. So it was very interesting seeing kind of all that, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, like I said, overall, like this book tackles a lot of different things that I wasn't expecting. Like I said, we do get the Office like content in here. I loved some of the behind the scenes pictures, and just some of the, like, especially with their little bus episode, yeah, they call it Death Bus, from season 9. Just the stories behind that were just like crazy. So it was like fun kind of seeing some of these behind the scenes stories and what they were also going through in their personal lives at the time. So yeah, like I said, overall really enjoyed this book. I think if you're a fan of The Office and a fan of their podcast, I think you really enjoy it. So like I said, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I also highly recommend, if you can, to also kind of read this along with the audiobook, because I feel like you do get a lot more auditory you know, bonus things in here. So like I said, you get more emotion. You can tell that they're like getting teared up during certain parts. You get more kind of like cameos as well. So yeah, like I said, highly recommend the audiobook and also this book as well. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this book, what you thought about it, because like I said, I really liked it. It felt very honest, candid, and then I loved all the kind of little tidbits of, you know, Office, you know, history and their experience and all that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.